Hey guys, American Pizza Books here. I'm back with another video today, and I was going to do another book review, and I will do another one soon. However, I wanted to do a video today on a certain topic that is sometimes discussed here on BookTube, and that other booktubers have talked about in the past, but that's the topic of DNF'ing books. Now, I find myself in kind of a conundrum right now. I'm kind of in a situation where I'm reading this book, and it's not gripping me. Well, I can tell you which one it is. I'm currently reading Shadow Fires by Dean Koontz, because recently I started watching videos like where people were going through their Dean Koontz book collection stuff, and it got me into a bit of a Dean Koontz like mood, where like I wanted to read a Dean Koontz novel. And so what I did was I picked up Winter Moon by Dean Koontz, and I thoroughly enjoyed that book. If you're looking for a Dean Koontz novel to read, Winter Moon I highly recommend. I think it's kind of one that a lot of people overlook because I don't hear it mentioned very often. But I read Winter Moon, really enjoyed that one, and I thought, you know what, I think maybe I'll just read another Dean Koontz novel, because why not? And so I decided to pick up Shadow Fires because I had read that it was supposed to be like one of his like first attempts at a straightforward horror novel, which, as it turns out, as I'm going along and reading it, really isn't the case. And if all of y'all any of you have like read a good amount of Dean Koontz or know anything about Dean Koontz, you know that there are certain tropes in his books that he likes to go towards. Usually some like government conspiracy or some deep state conspiracy or something, or something to do with the government or the state, or like a golden retriever. This one doesn't have a golden retriever in it, at least so far anyways, but it definitely has to do with, like, again, some governmental thing and some science thing gone awry, and it reminds me too much. It's like a mixture of Mr. Murder, which I have read, which was a very good book, and the Frankenstein series, in the sense that the main antagonist was trying to conduct a scientific experiment. Except within Frankenstein, if I remember correctly, it's been so long since I read the Frankenstein series, but in that one, it wasn't an experiment on the antagonist himself, but it was on other people, if I remember correctly. And then this one is like, it's like the experiment is on himself because he wanted to try to achieve immortality and stuff. So anyways, not the point, but again, I'm like 90 pages into it right now, and already it's hitting all the kind of formulaic Dean Koontz stuff, and it's just not gripping me. The characters are, at least the characters that we're introduced to so far, like I've read that there's like a bunch of other characters that we're introduced to later on in the book, but the characters that we're introduced to right now, they're just not, it's not that they're cardboard cutouts necessarily or one-dimensional, but it also just kind of feels like, I guess you could say, like stereotypical Dean Koontz characters, I guess, or something like that. They're not bad characters, they're just, I don't know, but I've gotten like I said, about 90 pages into it, and it's not gripping me, and I'm trying to get into it, and a few times it was starting to grip my interest a little bit, but the way things are progressing and some of the dialogue as well, like Dean Koontz can write good books, like he can write good characters and good dialogue. I've read it, I've seen him do it before. I think that Odd Thomas is like the perfect example of that. Like the guy can write good characters and good dialogue when he wants to. But there are other times when like the dialogue is way too over the top and stuff, and I'm kind of getting the vibes from this novel. But anyways, not really the point of this video, but that's what I'm on right now. And it's just not gripping me, and I don't want to have to put it down, because it was what DNF stands for, did not finish. I don't want to have to DNF the book, but there's so many other books that I want to read, and I just don't see the point in pushing through it if it's not gripping me, or if it's just not, if I just don't have that much interest in it from what I've read so far. And especially since it was kind of slightly misleading as far as like the description of it goes. But I guess that kind of segues into the actual topic, and that's DNFing books. Now, some people believe in completing books like no matter what. Even if they aren't enjoying the books, they believe in seeing them out to the end and in finishing them. And I used to be that way too. Like when I really got into reading, which was around like late high school, is when I really got into like reading a bunch and stuff. I was like that. Like I was gonna finish every novel, finish every book, no matter what. Even if it's not gripping me, I still want to finish it and see it through. I used to be like that for a while, but recently, here in the last few years or so, I find myself more and more just like setting books down that aren't gripping me, that I'm not enjoying. And maybe some people on here might view that as lazy, or might be a sign that you're not a very good reader, because I get reading can be a skill. I know that a user by the name of Tornado Creator has talked about that here on the BookTube sphere on YouTube, how reading can be a skill, and maybe DNFing books more often is the sign of a lazy reader, or that you're not great at it. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about the whole reading as a skill thing. I mean, I do think it can be, but I don't know. It's a very complex topic in my opinion. But it's got me thinking, and I guess I want to get other people's perspectives on it out there, and find out what they think. But I'm at the point where, in my opinion, there's too little time and too many other books that I have interest in reading to be wasting my time on a book that I'm just not enjoying and that just is not hooking me. And that I just feel, and more the case with this book, that I just feel is formulaic and that I've seen it done before by the same author. If this was a different author, I would probably see it out to the end, and give it more of a chance. But since it's from someone whom I've read quite a bit of work from, I just don't feel as inclined to do so. But again, it leads back to the general topic of DNFing books. And like I said, there's too little time. There's too much stuff that I'm interested in reading. There's too many authors that I want to check out, because I'm always discovering new authors, mostly on Amazon, really, because I'll just be scrolling through books and I'll find new authors that I want to try, and I'll add them to the list. But yeah, more and more, that's kind of my opinion. I know that some people still, will push through to the end and complete every book that they can, but I've seen other people say pretty much what I'm saying, being like, well, if I'm not really enjoying a book, then I don't feel really obligated to finish it or finish it through. And that's not to say that I just put down every book that I begin not to like, because then it sounds like I only complete books that I like, which isn't true. Like, I know that I read the book Others by James Herbert last year, and I didn't hate the book, but I really didn't enjoy it all that much either, but I still read it to the end because I wanted to give it a chance, because the idea was really unique. Still gave it a shot, didn't end up enjoying it that much, but again, still saw it through to the end. There have been a few other books like that I've read that I've been kind of so-so on, or have leaned towards not liking it, but I've still stuck it out and finished it to the end. But lately, like I said, just within the last few years, it just seems pointless to me, Like, I've got other shit going on, I've got work just like everyone else, and, I don't always have, I do have a fair amount of free time, but, I don't have all the free time in the world. And reading is something that I really enjoy. It's like my main hobby, and I don't understand wasting all that time on a book that, again, when there's so many other books out there. And I guess in this case, it's, like I said, especially when it's from an author that I've already read a plethora of his work. And to go back on that for a second, I don't think I've read even close to most of Dean Koontz's works. He's got so many books out there, but I have read a good amount. Back in 2015, late 2015, early 2016, I went on this binge where I read a bunch of his works, and then kind of stopped, but then kind of read a few more of his books in the years since. And see, with Koontz, and maybe I'll just do another video entirely on Dean Koontz, but Koontz is just such like a hit or miss for me. And then like this book right now that I'm reading so far is just such, like, it starts out really good, but then after it just... So that's kind of the situation that I'm at. Like, I want to push through it till the end, and maybe I might just put it down for now and then come back to it later, which is another conversation. Like, maybe some people will put some books down, like they won't give up on them entirely, but maybe like if it's not gripping them in the moment, maybe they might just like set it down and then come back to it at some point. I've done that with some books where I start it and maybe I'm not in the right mindset, or maybe, you know, maybe it's just something, and then later on down the road I'll be like, well, hey, maybe I'll give this book another shot and try to continue with it. You know, I might have to reread it, but like maybe I'll give it another shot and see if I can just, you know, give it another chance and see it to the end. And I've done that, and a lot of times I've been able to do that. But like in the last few years, you know, let's see, I put down this one Darcy Coates book I was reading, which I've read other stuff from her that I've enjoyed, but this one book that I was reading by her, I think it was Haunting of Ashburn House, I just put it down because for a variety of reasons. Like, the characters weren't realistic. To me, the characters just were not written well. They weren't written realistically, and the actions that the main character took just didn't make any sense, and just a variety of other things. Another one that I put down was Harvest Home by Thomas Tryon, which I know that a lot of people consider to be like a classic in the horror genre. But for me, that book was... just the writing itself, although the writing was very good, it really got in the way. And I do believe that even when the writing itself is really, really good, and really, like, just beautiful prose, like, even when it is like that, I still think it can get in the way of a story. If it's not serving as a good medium into the story, then it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. And then another one would be like Carrion Comfort by Dan Simmons. I got a good way into that one. I got about like halfway through that one, because it's a good sized book. I got about halfway through that one, a little more than halfway. And it started out really, really promising. It started out really good. But then as it went along, it like devolved into this like less like horror suspense and more like this almost like sci-fi action thing, and I just wasn't liking it at all. And I finally just said, you know what? I don't want to continue on. This is taking too long. It's taking too long to get to the meat of the story. It's meandering. You know, no. And so I just put it down. So, yeah. So I want to get other people's perspectives on this, because this has been on my mind for the last few days, and you know, I don't like having to put books down. I'll at least try to get like 100 pages or so into a book, and if it's not doing it for me, then I'll probably put it aside. I'll either, if I don't see it to the end, but yeah, like I that's kind of generally my rule. Like, I'll try to give it like 100, maybe a little over 100 pages or so, and then if it's not doing it for me, then I'll put it down and move on to something else. And I feel more inclined now to do that, because again, it just comes down to life's too short, and there's too many other books out there. There's too many other authors out there that I want to check out. And why waste time on a book that I'm not enjoying, that I feel like is a slog to read through and pick up, and that I don't want to pick up? You know, because when I'm reading something, I don't want to like be just indifferent towards it, or even worse, like dread picking it up. I want to look forward to picking it back up and reading more and finding out what happens and stuff. So, yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. You know, what do you think about DNFing books? Do you think it's acceptable? Do you think it's unacceptable? Or are you kind of just in between? Have you guys DNF'd books before? I'm sure you have. Which ones did you DNF? Since I kind of went through my own list, there's a few more, and I could maybe do a video on that in the future, like of books that I've DNF'd. But anyways, I think I've said all I need to say, and that's about it. So let me know what you guys think out there on BookTube, and we'll talk to you guys later. So peace, and you guys have a good day.